All right. So yesterday we have discussed about the different services of AWS, and also like we have seen the account creation, the billing dashboard, and the regions, the different newly added regions, and the support tab also for different issues that you are going to encounter, right? And besides that, we have
Yes.
also discussed the different activities that you can perform on your security and identity side also, that is in identity access management portfolio. So we will be discussing that at a later point of time as and when we progresses. So for today's session, it is very important that you understand how to create a virtual machine within the AWS environment. The reason being is that based on the environment, based on the virtual machine creation, you would be in a condition to go ahead and practice your Linux sessions. Okay, so every time you have to be well versed with your launching of EC2 instance creation, that is Elastic Compute Cloud or Elastic Cloud Compute Console. Based on that, you will be going ahead and doing that, right? So let us understand that part today, and what are the softwares requires that you need to download in order to continue with the virtual machine logging in process, right? So all you need to do is, let's go ahead and start with your services. Go to services and click on EC2 service under compute.
Prasad, can I record it from my side?
Yeah, go ahead. Both of you can record it at your end also.
Like I need permission to.
Oh, okay. 1 second, hold on. Let me give you that. Or it is not problem. Actually, I spoke to them. They said that they will take the recordings and give it to you. That's also fine. I will do that. No problem. Okay. No, it's not an issue.
Okay.
All right. So this is the first screen after you get into the services of EC2, and here you can see a lot of points. So as this moment, we will understand how to launch the virtual machines, though I will explain each and every terminology associated with it. And if at all you concerned, you can again let me know. I will repeat it for these things, right? Now here you can see on the middle side, you can see there is something called as resources, and there are lots of resources that is in front of your screen, starting from instances running, it is showing 0. Next one is dedicated host, it is 0. Elastic IPs, it is 0. Instances 0. Key pairs 0. Load balancers 0. Placement group 0. Snapshots 0. Volumes 0, except one, that is your security group. Now the question comes, why the security group has got 1 and the rest of the things are 0? This is because security groups is a terminology that is being used by AWS in its platform, and it is nothing but a firewall. Now, Vinay, probably you will not be aware what is a firewall. A firewall is something which will stop or which will inhibit the process of the traffic moving from and within the network, right? Anything comes or approaches to your network within the network, it will always stop or allow the person, right? That is how your security groups acts, which is also called as firewall, right? So in AWS terminology, it is known as security group. Okay, and these are stateless and they do not propagate with other kind of things, which we will be learning more and more as and when we progresses. So today's agenda is using all of them. You should know how to launch a virtual machine and how to log into your virtual machine. Now, as a part of your course, we will be doing everything on Linux. So that is the reason you should understand how to launch the virtual machine on Linux virtual machine. And if required, you can also learn on how to launch a Windows like virtual machine as well. But our activity and everything will be done only on Linux. So you must be well versed with Linux communication, right? So in this part, if you just scroll down a little bit, Vinay. You can see here there is an option called Ember option called launch instance, right? There is a button called launch instance. Just click on the drop down and you see there is an option called launch instance. There is also something called migrate server. That is a separate story altogether. I will provide you some test cases down the line. Probably you can try at your end. Okay, that is not something which we are covering in our course, but at the end of the session, you should be in a condition to understand migration of servers as well, be it a database, be it an app server or whatsoever it is. You must be in a condition to understand that as well. So we have all the test cases which you will be learning it as and when we progresses. So at this moment, our concern is of launching a virtual instance. So instance, virtual machines, servers, machines, they are all same. Do not get confused if somebody says instances, somebody says VMs, somebody says virtual machines, or servers, they are all one of the same. Okay, so do not get confused on those words, right? So let us go ahead and click on that option called launch instance. This will take you to a new server where you will have a series of AMIs in front of your screen. That is called choose an Amazon Machine Image. That is your AMI. AMI in the sense, it is nothing but the ISO images. For example, in old days, we used to use ISO images for launching a virtual machine within our laptop or desktop itself, right? Likewise, they have also converted the same into this kind of AMIs. It is called as Amazon Machine Image. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So am I going fast, Vinay, or you are not catching up? Please let me know.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, sure. I'll let you know. Sure.
Okay.
It's good now.
So in this case, what will happen? We will talk about the left-hand part, that is AMIs, marketplace, community AMIs. As in when we come back to AWS, that time I will explain this. As of now, it is not required. Now our only concern is to launch the virtual machine, right? If you scroll down, you will have lots of other images along with the Linux image. The very first one is you also have a Red Hat image over there. Red Hat 8 image is also there, right? These are not free. These are somewhere or the other. These are going to be chargeable for you, even though it is mentioned free tier eligible, but it is going to be chargeable for you down the line. So the only thing which is free tier eligible at this point of time is that is your Linux 7, which is the very first one eligible in front of your screen, 64-bit, x86, ARM is something else. So you just go ahead and select that option. This comes with any kind of software. So it is just a simple image which you are going to launch it. So select that first option.
With 64-bit, right?
Yes, whatever the default is, click on select. Now here we will understand the different columns associated from page to page. So we have chosen an AMI. Now we will choose the instance type, then we will configure the instance, then we will add the storage, then we will add tags or something else like that. Then eventually we'll come back to your security groups, which we have seen as number 1. And then finally we will review the entire stuff what we have done, and then we will launch our instances at the last page, right? So this is the second page of your instances launching, right? In this page, the very first column that you are seeing is family, right? Now what is family? The family is altogether depending upon your number of CPUs or the memory that you are going to consume for your virtual machine, right? Now for example, I am in the free tier and I am only eligible for 1 CPU and 1 memory. I can use definitely less than that, but not more than that. Now, if you are expecting that you will be using T2 small, which will be of 1 memory, 1 CPU and 2 memory, it's not going to be free of cost for you, right? Eventually, when you will say, I am going to launch this virtual machine, you will be charged for this virtual machine. So you have to prepare it accordingly. Anything that you are going to do, you must know what is the consequences of that selection, right? So at this moment, the maximum you can go with T2 micro and the minimum is T2 nano as part of your free tier account, which you had created yesterday. Okay. So the family depends on T2, T3, then it's going to the type, that is going to your T3, T2 micro, T2 small, T3 medium, T4 large, T5 extra large, like that, right? If you scroll down a little bit, you will see here T2 large, T3 micro, T3 medium, right? T3A large, different CPUs, and the memories keeps on varying as and when we progresses with this one. Okay. But we will not be touch base with anything else. This is because it is only eligible for free tier eligibility, which is 1 CPU, 1 memory. Remember this is also going to be your interview question. Okay, so you can clearly see the third column and fourth column with 1 CPU and 1 memory, and followed by that instance storage, that is your EBS only. Now what is EBS only? That is the physical storage which is associated with this particular instance, right? Physical storage means your C drive, D drive, just like in your Windows machines. Here also it is XVDG, XVDC, XVDD, like that. It is the drives for this particular Linux machines. Okay, we will see it in the storage area, but as of now, just understand EBS stands for Elastic Block Storage, which is a physical storage right into the system that you are going to launch it. Okay, EBS optimization is not applicable, but it is again relevant to the same storage part. Then network performance, since you are using only for the learning purpose, the network performance will be low to moderate or below that only, because we are not going to use some high-end activities. Example, if we are going to discuss one of the DevOps tools called what is that called, Kubernetes, right? So Kubernetes, you cannot perform the Kubernetes activities with one CPU and one memory. Okay, it is going to be highly like somewhere around like 4 CPUs and like 4 memory, like that it would require, which will be beyond your free tier. Okay, so we are not going to use it over here. If at all we are going to practice Kubernetes under AWS terminologies. Okay, so that is where the network performance would be high, and it is supporting IPv4 and IPv6 support. By default, IPv4 is used everywhere. Now, what is IPv4 and IPv6? IPv4 is nothing but your IP address that you are going to associate. That is, for example, 192.168.100.1 or sorry, 10.0.1.0, 10.0.5.0, like that, right? So these are all 4 digits number. These numbers are called as IPv4 address. IPv6 is something more advanced in Linux, that is also supported, but we are not going to use that. So be remembering that your IPv4 address will be also applicable and supportive in case of your EC2 Linux virtual machine. Okay. Remember one thing, till the point you are not seeing the blue button till the end, do not click the review and launch button. You have to finish all the steps till last you see the blue button at the end. Okay, so click on next, configure instance details. I hope this page is clear to both of you.
Yeah.
Any questions? Yeah. So this is something which you need to remember as and when we progresses. Okay, this can be an interview question. If you are launching a virtual machine, what are the different structure you go through? So you need to explain the choosing of AMI, the storage, the configuration, the security groups, everything you need to explain. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and click on next, configure instance details. Okay, this is quite a big page that we need to understand slowly. Some of the informations are still in progressing phase, which you need not have to worry about, and some of them are very important, which you must pay attention to that one. First of all, it is number of instances, right? So you can see next to that box, you see launch into auto scaling group. That is also part of your course. We will be discussing about auto scaling as and when we progresses. Now, the number of instances you can always change from here. If you wish to create 3 instances or 4 instances at a stage, you can always, or 10 instances at a stage, you can always just change the number inside the box, and automatically it will publish that many number of virtual machines for you. Okay, so at this moment we are not concerned, but we will be only talking about one virtual machine that we are going to launch here. So let us put that into action, number of instances. Next point comes your purchasing option. This is a very renowned interview questions. Okay, so you will be getting this kind of questions in interviews, that types of instances, right? So you will have to take spot instances or reserved instances, or you can say like different other varieties of instances, which is all falling under similar category, though it's all in pay as you go model. Now, how different is spot instances from other instances? Now, what is a spot instance? Example, say like today Masons is like working on certain activity. A new project has come from US, and they have taken that project and they wanted to do every activity of the project in cloud, right? So they approached AWS and they have taken the tender, right? They have signed up the MOU with AWS for 1 year. Fortunately or unfortunately, or because of any issues, within 6 months only, everything got over for this project. So Masons is no more interested to continue with the servers which are already lying with your AWS. They just inform that our job is done, keep our data safe, whenever we want, we can take it back. In that case, what happens? The servers dedicatedly that has been paid by Masons to AWS is now idle. It is not being fully used, but in working condition. Okay. At the same time, a third-party company approaches to AWS with the similar requirement, but the budget is very low for them. The kind of way Masons was able to pay the amount, they were not in a condition to pay that amount. So in that case also, AWS offers them something called as spot instances, which are readily available, and they can go and use them as and when they progresses, and they will have to pay according to the usage. That is called as pay as you go model, right? That is where the spot instance comes into action, which is always readily available, and you can always go ahead and use them. But it would not be as a dedicated instance. It would be a spot instance only. That is why it is called as spot instances. Okay, very recognized question for interview perspective. Keep that in mind. We are not concerned about spot instances. We will not be doing anything at this point of time. Even in production, you will not be offered to do spot instances. Next point comes your VPC and subnet. The extreme right hand side, you can see in blue colors, create new VPC, create new subnet. We will discuss that as and when we progresses with our VPC part in AWS. As of now, not required. Do not even bother about it. You're only concerned about your network. So there is a default VPC. If you select the drop down under network, you can see that there is nothing else except the default VPC, right? That is why you can, or I can, or even Sai can go ahead and launch his instance or my instance or your instance at any given point of time. This is because it is publicly available to everyone, right? That is why it is called as public cloud, AWS public cloud. Everything is available. The IP address is available. Whenever you shut down, the IP addresses will be withdrawn, right? That's why there is only one network which is publicly available. Anyone can come and log in and create their virtual machine. Okay, we will talk about private cloud as and when we progresses with the virtual private cloud, that is your VPC services within your AWS. Within network, you have something called as subnet. Now, if you select the subnet button drop down, you will see there are 6 different subnets available for you. That is US East 1A, US East 1B up to US East 1F. Now, what is this subnet? These subnets are nothing but the availability zones which is available under Northern Virginia. Now, yesterday I told you, Vinay, if you go ahead and select Ohio to Northern Virginia or some other region, then you will not have these many subnets available for them. You will have 3 subnets, 4 subnets like that. Okay, that is one of the other reason why you should choose Northern Virginia while doing your practice and everything in AWS.
So it has all subnets, like it has
all the maximum number of subnets we have in Northern Virginia. Okay, now if you wish to select any particular subnet where you want to launch your instance, you can do that. For example, if you click on outside, click outside, just click. Now, after that, you do not see anything just below the subnet. There is a space, but there is nothing written over there, right? Now, if you select one of the subnet from the drop down, say US East 1A, 1B, 1C, anything you select, immediately you see there is something called as 4091 IP addresses available, right? That is publicly available IP addresses in the public cloud. Anytime you would like to select any particular subnet, you will get an IP address for that. Okay, that is where the subnet is so much of powerful. One subnet is always available for one availability zone. Very important. Please keep that in mind. One subnet is only allocated to one availability zone only. It will be not more than that. Okay. So if you want to select 1C, then our instance will definitely launch in US East 1C because you have specifically mentioned here. But if you select the drop down and do not select anything, then what will happen? Based on wherever out of A, B, C, D, E, F, anywhere it can be launched if you do not select anything. Okay. So let's say we will not select anything. No preference will be given for that. Now then you have selected the default one. The auto SN public IP is by default enabled. That means you will be getting a public IP for your virtual machine along with a private IP. Every single virtual machine or instance comes with 2 different IP addresses. One is a public IP address. The other one is a private IP address. Private IP address will be appearing in front of your screen once you launch your virtual machine, whereas public IP, you will be using it to launch the virtual machine. Okay. So don't get much concerned about it. We will discuss as and when we talk about.
Can you just repeat this about the can you just repeat the same point?
Okay.
The point.
So auto SN public IP in the sense, since you are in a public cloud, all the virtual machines that you are going to run will come with 2 IP addresses. One with the public IP addresses, which you will be using it to launch the virtual machine. The another one is the private IP addresses, which will be appearing once you launch the virtual machine in front of your screen. Okay, that's where your public IP and private IP will be available for you. So we will be discovering more and more on that part as and when we progresses with your AWS part, VPC services and all. Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Placement group, you don't have to worry about. Capacity reservation at this moment, it is not much in use. Don't worry about it. Domain join directory has been recently advertised into this like screen. You don't have to worry about it. Scroll down. Then comes IAM role, which I have not spoken so far. Yesterday, I was just giving you a hint. We will discuss that as and when we progresses. Shutdown behavior, by default, there is only stop shutdown behavior, but there is also another option like shutdown. If you just click on the drop down, you will see that shutdown behavior. You will see terminate or shutdown. So by default, it is stop. So you don't have to terminate again and again for all the instances. But as it's as a good practice, as long as you are doing it, you can always go ahead and terminate the instances if at all you are not using it. Reason being, you have only 750 hours in a month to use the virtual machines. Now, by default, it will be 0. So if you start working on that, it will be counting your hours. Okay. The next option is stop hibernate behavior. That is also recently added, but this part will enable you to hibernate for hibernation purpose. That means if you do not want to shut down your machine, you can keep it in hibernation for as long as you want. And when you again start it, it will continue from the moment you have started till the point it is running. So everything will be calculated. The hours will be calculated from the beginning itself. So this is also a new option which has been recently added to your hibernate behavior. The next one is enable.
So okay, go on.
Go ahead.
Like, what is the difference between shutdown behavior and another thing we have?
Hibernate behavior. Shutdown in the sense.
My thing was same.
Yeah. So if you shut down or terminate a machine, what will happen? The IP address which has been given to it will be immediately relieved. Okay, the public IP which is there, that will be relieved immediately, and it will be assigned to some other one than the one which is existing. Now, and it is the restart services will be time of the server will be 0, starting from 0, right? Now, the interesting part with stop and hibernate behavior is that your IP address will definitely get released, but your hours will not stop. It will continue to move. For example, you started at 6 a.m. in the morning. Yes. If you start at 6 a.m. in the morning and you hibernate 6 p.m. in the evening, right? And again in the morning, next day morning, if you remove that hibernation, then it will be showing as up since 24 hours. The machine is up since 24 hours.
24 hours. Okay.
But in case of shutdown, what happens? It will go off completely. Does that answer your question, Sai and Pavide?
Yes, I got it.
Like if it was up for 24 hours, if we use stop hibernate, when we use stop hibernate for 12 hours, like it will be only counted for 12 hours?
No, it will be for 24 hours. The hibernation says that your data and everything is still intact. That's why we hibernate.
Okay. So it will still count it as 24 hours.
Of course.
Okay.
Okay. Your server's timings will be continue with that spirit only.
So if in shutdown behavior, if we stop the instances and if we restart it again after an hour, so when we stop, the IP address will be released, right?
Yes. In both cases, the IP addresses will go. Either it is hibernate or shutdown, your IP addresses will go for sure.
Like when we restart it again, like for both of these, will be having the same address?
No.
IP address?
No.
We'll
you
get a
will
new
never,
one, right?
the moment you hibernate, the moment you shut down, or the moment you stop the instances, the IP addresses will constantly change. It will never be the same address. Remember that across the globe, people are using the virtual machines. So it will never be the same for free tier particularly.
Public and private, both IP addresses.
Everything will change.
Every time we do this
Yes.
thing, like.
Yes.
Okay.
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 So that is why it is public cloud. It is not private cloud. Private cloud is different. We will talk when we'll get into it.
But we have the private IP address, right? I thought that won't be changed.
That may not change, but your public IP address will certainly change.
Okay.
Okay. Most important, the releasing of your IP addresses. Which address you will log in, that address will change. Public IP address will also change it.
Okay.
All right. So next one is enable termination protection. This is like something, for example, in all production environment, by default, this option is selected. Okay, that what does it mean? Protect against accidental termination. By mistakenly, if you try to shut down a production machine, right, then it will impact a lot, right? So for that reason, this option is being selected, right? If you select this option and continue working on this instance, then eventually you would not be able to terminate the instance. You have to disable this option, only then you would be able to terminate the virtual machine. Otherwise, you cannot. Okay. For your reference, let us select that option so that we can test it at the end.
Okay.
Monitoring. Monitoring is again additional charges apply. We will talk about it when we will discuss about CloudWatch or Cloud Trial. So don't bother about it. Tenancy.
For termination protection, like there won't be any charges if you enable it.
No, nothing has been mentioned, right? Nothing. It will not be charged.
Yeah.
It is for security. Okay. Tenancy. Tenancy is like if you select the drop down, you have three options: shared. Click on the drop down, dedicated and dedicated host. Right. So what does it mean? If you can see, the best example is that you guys are staying in PGs, right? So one guy will stay in one single room, two guys will stay in one room, three guys will stay in one room, four guys will stay in one room. The more people, the less price. The less people, the more price. Okay. So shared, dedicated and dedicated host is like that, right? So run a shared hardware instance, run a dedicated instance, launch this instance on a dedicated host. So that means you have a dedicated machine also, on top of which your instance is also dedicated. So that is dedicated host. So these are chargeable. These are not free of cost. We will be going with shared environment because it's a free tier environment. Additional charges will apply for dedicated tenancy. We are not going to do that. Elastic inference, credit specification and file systems. These are all charges apply. Even the file systems includes. We will talk about file systems as and when we progresses. File system has been added in 2020 Solution Architect Associate program in detail. So we will be talking about that as and when we progresses with elastic file systems. Okay, don't worry about that. Now next comes your advanced details. This is something important you must understand. Here you have the enclave that is enable. If you at all you require that, the metadata which is associated with this kind of instances, any kind of hardware details or any software details, everything will be coming under your metadata version, the accessible version, the token or responsibility or anything that you do, that will be by default. You are not going to make any changes over there. It will be always enable option. Now, the last part is something important, which is called as user data. Input is already based on 64 encoded system. You can use it as a text as well as a file. Now, what does it mean? It means if you want your system to be available with certain amount of softwares already installed onto it, right? If you wish to do that, you can write a small or big or medium script in that optional box. Right, so that is called in AWS. It is also mentioned as bootstrap script. Right, so we will understand what is a bootstrap script as and when we progresses with AWS. Okay, so as of now, just remember that in advanced details is most being used the user data part, which will be used for your bootstrap script. All right, clear so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead and click on add storage. So this storage is called as root device volume. What is that? Root device volume. This root device volume, for example, when you launch create a machine, right? The first system drive is called as C drive, right? Likewise, in Linux, it is called as root device volume. If you add new volumes, click on add new volumes twice or thrice. One more time. You see the device column, you see XVDA, SDB, SDC, SDD, like that it is coming, isn't it? Right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Right. So it just like that in your Windows, it is C drive, D drive, E drive. Here also it is the device type that you are seeing it, but it is for EBS volumes. We are not discussing EBS at this moment. This is a separate subject altogether. We will talk as and when we progresses with your AWS part. So just click on that cross button at the end. Let's focus more on this part. The first volume is called as root device volume with the device name, and it is enabled with snapshot. Now, what do you mean by snapshot? Snapshot and backup are two different things, right? Snapshot is something is a point in time of recovery kind of things. For example, if you worked from 6 a.m. till 3 p.m., right? So your data will be saved as a snapshot from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. But if you work again from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., that data will not get captured on the snapshot of 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. You have to take again a snapshot from 5 p.m. evening to 8 p.m. evening. So 2 snapshots you have to take and use it, or have to take sorry, a complete snapshot from morning 6 a.m. till night 8 p.m. That is where it is a point in time of recovery kind of data which will be there in the snapshot. Snapshots also applies to your EBS volumes directly, which you can see that. Can someone go on mute who is not speaking, please? All right. The default root device volume size is always 8 GB. I repeat, the default root device volume size is always 8 GB. It is also going to be an interview question. This default size can be increased. We will see that as and when we progresses. Okay. Now, similarly, the volume types, you have SSD GP2, you have SSD GP3 like that. If you select the drop down, you will see quite a few over there. GP3 and IO1, IO2, these are recently being added, but not much being used in the industry. It is the general purpose. GP2 stands for general purpose. Similarly, IO stands for input output systems. So that is also being used. And the last one is magnetic, which you are seeing it at this point of time. Down the line, it will be completely removed because magnetic volume is no more in use in the industry at all. So I will give you a chart as and when we progresses with the EBS volumes, then you will understand. So at this moment, you just select the general purpose SSD GP2. As I mentioned, input output systems. If you select the other options under the volume type, the input output speed also will keep on changing. For example, if you see GP3, then it will change to a particular speed, 3000. Likewise, the speeds will change, right? IO2 or IO1, it will keep on changing, right? So we will be going with the general purpose only with regards to the input, make minimum of this and a maximum of that. Throughput in MBs, it is not applicable at this moment. Throughput volume is different. So we will see the throughput volume as and when we progresses with our EBS volumes. Similarly, delete on termination. Now, what is delete on termination? Delete on termination in the sense when you delete this virtual machine, this root device volume will also get auto deleted. Condition apply if you select that option. If you do not select that, if you remove that tick mark, then what will happen? Your instance will delete, but your volume will still be sitting there in the system, for which you will be chargeable. Okay. So make sure you delete it manually or you select the tick mark so that it will automatically get deleted. The last but not the least, that is your encryption. Encryption has got lots of big features. That is your KMS encryption, key management service encryption, which we will discuss in detail as and when we progresses with our S3 things. So at this moment, it is not encrypted. We will see on EBS, while we will discuss on EBS, we'll see how the snapshot and everything will created, and we will also create encrypted volumes as well. So leave it as it is, and then go ahead and click on add tags. So add tag is nothing but adding a name to your server. In your production environments, it will be like PRD. In your development environment, it will be ending with DEV. Similarly, in QA, it will be ending with QA. Similarly, in case of staging or pre-prod, it will be PPRD, something like that, right? The naming convention, right? You can see in the first line, a tag consists of a case-sensitive key-value pair. For example, you could define a tag with key is equal to name and value is equal to web server. If you click to add a name tag or click on add tag, whichever way you want, click on that. You will get two values. One is key value, other one is value, right? So under key, you type name, type name. Key is equal to name. So type name, right? And caps, please. Only N is cap.
Sorry.
All right. And similarly, the value, you can say anything, maybe your name or your whatever you want, right? For the
value, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so anything that you would like to give it, you can give the name, right? But not too short. You should say,
okay,
like Vinay's, my first instance, something, Vinay's instance, right? Something like that, right? So go ahead and then click on configure security group. Yeah, you can give a space also, that's fine. Yeah. Now, security group is very important. What is security group? There are quite a few things that you need to understand here, right? As it is mentioned in the screen itself, a security group is a set of firewalls that controls the traffic for your instance on this page from and within the network using HTTP and HTTPS and all this stuff, right? Now you can see there are 4 important things that you must remember with regards to your security groups. Point number 1, security groups are region specific. That means if you create a security group in Northern Virginia, you cannot use the security group in London region or Canada region or across any other region. Okay, so security groups are region specific. Point number 2, security groups are also network specific. Example, if you are creating 2 different networks within Northern Virginia, they cannot have the same security groups. Security groups would not support, even though they are in the same region, but if it is a different network, it won't support. Security groups are region specific, security groups are network specific. One single security group can be associated with multiple EC2 instances. Third point. Likewise, one single instance can also be part of multiple security groups, right? So for this term, if you select an existing security group, you will have nothing apart from your default one. Select the second option, select an existing security group. There is nothing else. This is the number one you are seeing in the first screen. Okay, this is the default one. Everything was 0, but the security group was 1 showing, right, in the first page. Yes or no, Vinay?
Yes, I muted, sorry. Yes.
So this is the one which you are seeing it. Okay, so we will not be using the default one. There is a usage for this one in certain other subjects. We will not be using it. Rather, we will create a new security group. Click on the first option and create a new security group. Here it is. You can give the people have a bad habit of just continuing with that. You should name your security groups. So remove that launch wizard and say that my SG or something like that. SG, G for security group. Okay, copy and paste it under your description as well. Yeah, copy that and put it under description. Anything that you would like to, you can put it there, but just copy and paste it. That should be fine. Now the next point comes SSH. Type is SSH. Here you are going to select the traffic type. Okay. Now traffic, SSH is what? SSH is by default used for your Linux
security.
to Linux communication. Linux to Linux communication. Okay. It is supported by TCP protocol. Port range is 22. Source, if you select the drop down, you have 3 options: custom, anywhere, and IP. Custom, anywhere, and my IP. What is that? Custom means you can customize your IP addresses. Anywhere means across the globe, anywhere you can access. My IP means only from your laptop or desktop you can access that. So at this moment, it is custom. Leave it as it is, doesn't bother. Or anywhere also you can select, no matter whatsoever. You can create 2 more. That last one is the description. If you want to add some comment, you can add it, or else leave it like that and add a couple of more rules, because you want to access it across the globe. And with the traffic, you can add HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Right? Again, one more time, HTTPS. Though it is not mandatory. Below one. HTTP. Okay. Yeah. Now you can see that after the source column, you can also change it to anywhere, whatever you want. And there is an option called, after that option, you see something else. No, don't select my IP. My IP means from your only.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Now after that, you see there are some options called 0.0.0.0 and then : /0. Now what is this? These are called as CIDR values. CIDR values. If you Google to CIDR, you will see a complete list of the IP addresses across the globe. You can find it. Okay, there is a networking system for the IP addresses. There is a subnet masking for the IP addresses. You will get all of them. We are not getting in depth into that. We are only concerned about IPv4 and IPv6 supported. In the very first screen you have seen, in the family type, it is supported by IPv6, it is mentioned. So that is none other than this one, the CIDR range. That is, I think, Sai, I have asked you this question earlier, right?
Yeah, yesterday.
So this is your IPv4 and ::/0 is your IPv6 address. So everything is supported here. Let's go ahead and click on review and launch for the last page. So if you see here, improve your instances, go up. You see, improve your instances. Your security group MySG is open to the world. Obviously, it is explicitly open to the world. Now, if you would have selected the family type as T3 medium or something, then the similar kind of screen, you would have seen another screenshot like this. You are going beyond your free tier, right? So make sure that you are chargeable. Okay, so that option also I will show you at some point of time, as and when we progress with DevOps, not now. Okay, so go ahead, and if you want to just review it, and then you can go ahead and click on launch.
Just I'm just seeing what I did.
Whatever you have done in the last 6 pages, this is the status.
Yeah, instant type, security, instant details, storage. Okay, should I launch?
Yeah, go ahead and click on launch.
Encryption.
All right, this is the last and important page. If you are using your MacBook, you don't have to bother about this page. By default, it will take the PEM file. But if you are using a Windows laptop, then you should be concerned about it. Now, what happens? You are generating a private file here in the form of .pem extension. Okay, and then you have to, as you are using Windows, .pem extension. You will see that shortly.
Okay.
Now, that PEM extension file, unfortunately, Windows cannot recognize. So you have to convert it to .ppk extension file, which your Windows will recognize, and then you will be using. There are many people uses multiple softwares, but the most industry recognized softwares are Putty and PuttyGen. That is what you are going to download. Now, prior to that, let's understand what are the different key pairs that you are going to use it. Without key pair, you cannot continue with the things. You have 3 different options. Choose an existing key pair, choose a new key pair, proceed without a key pair. If you select the drop down, you have 3 options. Right? Existing key pair means you have already created it and you are trying to use that. Possible, and you can create that for n number of times. There is no limitations to that, but that should be available within your laptop or desktop. Only then you can use it. If you have deleted it, you cannot continue with that. Okay, new key pair, which we will be doing that. Proceed without a key pair. That means you are proceeding without a key pair with no intention of logging into your virtual machine or to your instances. So that is the third option. That has also a feature in VPC. We will talk about when we will talk about that. Okay, so select a new key pair here. You can give a name whatever you want.
Okay, like
by default it is RSA, that is newly being added, ED225, something like that. So don't bother about it. You should always select RSA. So give a key pair name like MyKP. Download the key pair. Click on download the key pair. Now look at your bottom, you see mykp.pem, right? That is the extension file. Don't worry about it. Just let it download. Now scroll down and launch your virtual machine. Launch instances. This will take you to a new screen where you have an ID called I-. Either you can click on the first option, very easily saying I-03C something, or you can also click down. You can click the scroll down, scroll down. You have also an option called view instance. Either ways, you can see that at the bottom, view instance.
Okay.
Okay. So this is your instance name, Vinay instance, instance ID,
instance ID.
State is pending, t2.microtype. Refresh once, click on refresh. You will see 2x2 checks. Don't refresh there. You have a refresh button here.
Oh.
Okay. Now status checks is showing initial. If you select that square box, select the square box.
Sorry. Which one? Like
that you keep discovering. That is your job. I'm not going to discuss that.
Okay.
Scroll to your left and select that square box. I'll tell you something here.
Okay.
Okay. Now you see status checks is showing as initializing, right? Scroll down a little bit. Scroll down. These are the details that is being given to you. Okay, the one which you are scrolling towards your right or scrolling to down, everything has been given over here. Scroll to the top again. Okay, you have your security details, you have your networking details, storage details, status checks. Click on status checks tab. You will see that two checks are happening. One is a system status checks, other one is a instance status checks. Now, what does it mean? System status checks means is the physical machine. Do not undergo the impression that just because you are learning AWS cloud, it is in some cloud. Cloud also runs on certain infrastructures. Okay. So that physical machine is initializing. After that, it will go for the instance which you have launched. So both are successful, means you will see in green color 2/2 check completed. Go to the top, scroll to the top. Other side also, scroll to the other side. You see the status checks is showing as initializing at this moment. You will see there as 2/2 check completed. After both the checks will get completed. Okay. So we will wait for that. Now let's go to a new browser and download your putty and puttygen, using which we will launch the virtual machine. Type here putty chair, PUTTY space, there is a space, CHIARK, CHIARK. Yes, click on that. Click on the very first one. We'll have to download the putty and the puttygen for generating the file. So no, not that. Come down. That is a MSI file. Go up. Wait. The first one is 64-bit x86 putty.exe. Download that. Yep. Scroll down slowly. You will see puttygen.exe. Scroll down.
Yeah,
there you
this
go.
one, puttygen.
The first one, 64-bit. Okay. Open them and copy and paste it to your desktop so that you will be frequently using them. Open them in their folder. No. Close it. Go to your downloads. Close this tab. You don't require this tab. Just close this tab. Yeah. So copy both puttygen and putty. Copy them and paste it in your desktop. All right. So let's go ahead and check the status of your instance, whether 2x2 has been completed or not. Go to your console, AWS console, and check the status. Refresh.
Sorry, I missed it. Like you said it's on AWS, right?
Yeah.
This one.
Refresh.
I got it. Yeah, gotcha. Oh yeah.
So you can see 2x2 checks passed, right? That means you are all set to log into this instance. Now click on the details tab below. Click on the details tab. You will see here there is a public IP as well as a private IP. Okay. Copy the public IP. That is the instance ID. That is nothing but your instance ID. And then next to that you have a private IP. Below that you have the FQDN name, fully qualified domain name. We will talk about that as and when we start with your Linux classes. So copy the public IP address. Yeah. Now go to puttygen. So first you have to convert the PEM file which you have downloaded and convert into PPK. Okay. So what you need to do, you don't have to click anywhere else, even though generate is highlighted. You don't have to do anything. Simply click on, you already have the private file. You don't have to generate it again. Okay. Simply click on load. Now left-hand side, go to downloads. And here you should have that file, right?
There's nothing. Yeah.
Where is that file?
There's nothing.
How come?
Oh, even for me, it's not showing.
Okay. Click on that. Wait. The putty file is there. Right? Select all files. Under putty private key files, Just above that. That box is there. Red dot. No, not there. Right hand side. Yes. Select that drop down. All files.
Okay.
Okay. Now you see, right? mykp.pem.
Yeah.
Right? Double click on that
okay.
mykp.com or select once and click on open. Whatever. Now read this out.
Successfully imported foreign key, open SSH2 private key, old PEM format to use this key.
Save private key
putty
command to save putty's own format. Okay, click on OK.
Okay.
Save private key command, right? Click on that.
Okay.
Just below load, you have an option called save private key. Click on that. Are you sure you want to this without password? Yes, I want to proceed. Yes, click on yes. I don't want a password again. Right? Now here you type mykp, just type there mykp, automatically it will show up. Same file with .pem. Select that, select that file, and then wait. Change the extension to ppk. No, that is fine. That is fine. There in the name of the file.
Okay.
Change that pem to ppk. Remove that pem. Remove that pem. Yeah, ppk. That's it. Okay. Save it. Now, why it is recommended?
Putty private files, right?
Yes, same. Now, why it is recommended to save with the same name for like overcoming your confusion? Okay. Otherwise, you can save it in any name also. It's fine. Okay, that's it. That's about your conversion. Close this window. Close this window. You don't require it anymore. Only two options you require: load and private key. That's it. Now let's go to your putty. Let's go to your putty to log into the virtual machine. Double click on that. There are multiple ways you can log in. Okay, you have given the IP address. If you do not want to save it directly, you can log in. Okay, or if you want to save it for future references, you can also log in. So at this moment, let us understand how to save it and keep it for your future reference. You can log in for your Linux virtual machines. There is a default user called EC2-user. Okay, you can either directly paste the IP address and continue, or you can also, as a good practice, type EC2-user under host name, EC2-user EC2 hyphen, not colon. Yes, EC2-user @ Control V, the IP address which you copied. Correct. Copy that whole line. Paste it under saved sessions. Now go to the left hand side plus symbol next to SSH.
Yeah.
Yes. And then click on auth, AUTH. Click on auth. Click on auth. On top of auth, you click. Yes. Now right hand side, you see a browse option. Click on browse. And browse the ppk file where you have saved. Go to your downloads again. You have a mykp.ppk file. Yes. Browse that. Open. Okay. If you want to make your screen bigger, you can also change it by going to appearance at the left hand side top. Click on change. You can change the size to 16 or 18, whatever you want. Okay. Scroll on to the top again, left hand side, scroll to the top and click on session. Right hand side, now save it. Never ever save it beforehand. Save it at the end only. Save.
Okay.
You will see the EC2- settings under default settings. Now click on load and then click on open. It is prompting you for launching the instance. Say accept. And there you go. You are in the Linux virtual machine with EC2-user.
EC2
172.31.86.33 is none other than your private IP address. Go to your console and check that if this is your private IP address or not. Go to AWS console.
AWS, okay. Yeah.
172.31.86.33 private IP address. It is there in the below.
Okay. Yeah. Private.
Right. So that is what it is going to appear in your screen. So that's all for today's session. We have successfully launched a virtual machine and we will see that how it is going to use in your Linux. Now, if you remember correctly, while launching this machine, we have selected the enable termination protection, right? Now, if you want to terminate this instance, what will happen? You cannot terminate. Scroll to your left.
Uh-huh.
Scroll to your left. Scroll to your left. Click on instance state at the top. Instance state, right hand side.
This one, right?
Connect. No, just go up, little up.
Beside
Go up.
connect.
Take your cursor to the right hand side top. I'm saying right hand side top. Connect instance state and action before the amber button. Yes. Select the drop down. Click on terminate. Terminate.
Yeah, we said terminate.
Terminate. Fail to terminate an instance because instance protection is available. Okay. Click on that. Close
Okay.
that. Close that. Now go to action. Instance settings. Change termination protection. Select that option, deselect that option, deselect that option. Save now. Now try to terminate. Select that square box and then go ahead and terminate. Select first. First select. Yep. Instance state, terminate. Yes, terminate. Okay, refresh. You should see shutting down now. Okay, so this is how you do the instance termination protection, and that's where it will be applicable for your production environments. All right, so you are end of the session today. If you need more things, more time tomorrow, both of you can practice it, though Sai is fully aware, but you can still practice Vinay. And then if you do not want to practice, you can practice already. By the time you will come back tomorrow, we will go ahead and start with your Linux subject.
I'll just go through it. Okay, I'll just go through this tomorrow again.
Yes. So before you come back for the session, if you are ready, we'll start with Linux. Else, you will have to have time to recover again, and then we'll go ahead. Okay.
Again, I can launch this, right? Like the same instance.
This one you cannot launch. You have terminated. If you have stopped it, you can start. Now you have terminated. This is gone.
I have to create the new instance again. Like
okay.
I'll just try to create a new instance, right? I can do that even. Like I can create a new instance, same like
yeah.
this.
The video will be uploaded.
I'll do that.
Will be given to you. You can follow that and do it on your own. Okay.
Okay. From
tomorrow when you come back,
right?
let me know whether you want to practice or you want to proceed. Accordingly, I'll progress.
Okay. Yeah,
okay?
I just had one question, right? So like I can create a normally as how we created it. Now I can create a normal instance, right? Like after the session ends.
Yeah, you can create anytime. You can create anytime.
So okay, yeah. So this video whole thing will be uploaded on Esense, like directly
yes,
from
yes.
them,
I spoke to them.
or
they
any
said
class,
they will upload from their end. I will just forward it to them. They'll upload. Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
All right. Let's connect tomorrow then. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, bye.